So, today's little reading from Exodus was rather cheerful, wasn't it? I guess most of you know the story pretty well. In the book of Exodus, and what we now call the Old Testament, we have the story of Moses leading his people to freedom. It's a powerful story. These people have been slaves in Egypt for generations, but now God has promised that they'll become a great nation, a nation with a plentiful land of their own, a nation that will one day be called Israel. Well, today's reading takes place as they're finally allowed to leave Egypt, and they begin that great long journey, and they venture out into the desert, the wilderness, to find their new home. Now, quite often I hear people talking about being in the wilderness or being in the desert. It's a metaphor. It's a phrase used for being in a bad place, a phrase we use for feeling lost or feeling isolated or feeling scared. It's a good image. And hey, we're in the midst of a pandemic here, so who's not scared? We're social distancing and self-isolating, so who's not lonely? Work, school, family life, everything's all up in the air. All over the world, we're in uncharted territory with no idea how long this is going to last. So I guess I'm not the only one who's feeling just a little bit lost. Perhaps, to use that phrase, don't you feel we're all in the wilderness? But maybe, if we take a look at this phrase and put it in a biblical context, we might get something helpful out of it. I mean, can there be anything remotely helpful for being out in the wilderness? So then we read that Moses leads his people out into the desert, away from the familiar lives they've lived before and out into the unknown. There's no pretense that the story of Exodus is full of easy answers, simple solutions or quick fixes. Moses and his people have a tough journey ahead of them. But a lot happens in that journey. They leave Egypt as a disorganized, disgruntled rabble. Most of them have no idea where they're going or why they're going there. There was no sat-nav back in the Bronze Age anyhow, and they have to travel on foot. So they were only as fast as their slowest and their weakest members. And many of them, right here at the start, as we see in the story, they want to turn back. And who could blame them? Who doesn't prefer security to insecurity, the familiar to the unknown? But at the end of their journey, through what they have faced, through what they have come through, they become knit together as a nation, and they are united. They are a changed people. Now, fast forward all this to April 2020. Every Thursday at around 8 p.m, we do that clap the key workers thing, don't we? And last Thursday, as we're all out there standing in the street making loads of noise, my neighbour, she turns to us and she says this nightmare we're all going through, I think it's going to change us. It's going to make us a closer community, isn't it?